Okay, hi. Back to motivational interviewing, and we're going to talk a little bit about what they call the spirit of motivational interviewing, which is basically the kind of the value set with motivational interviewing. One of the things that I like about motivational interviewing is actually the values are more kind of front and center compared to many other models. What it says is that there's a set of values that we want to be working with, and so everything that we do has to fit within that value framework. And there's a kind of a sense that they started with the values and then developed the techniques from that, as opposed to sort of coming up with a bunch of techniques and then trying to kind of fit it into sort of a value system. So I think this is one of the attractions of motivational interviewing to social workers, is this kind of value set. And so they focus on kind of four sets of values: one around partnership, compassion, evocation, and acceptance. So let's just spend a few minutes and we'll kind of go through some of these. I think for most of you, there's nothing sort of surprising in this. The values would be quite consistent with I think your training and other model or other aspects of social work and in other classes. But this idea of partnership, we've already talked a bit about collaboration or partnership, is the idea of two experts sitting down at the table talking together. And MI, I think, is a little bit different than sort of other models in kind of how it looks at that partnership. It sees the client as an expert. They're an expert in their own lives. They're an expert in their experience. They bring their expertise, past successes into play. But there's also a recognition that you as a clinician have an expertise. You've worked hard to get where you are. You have seen clients with similar problems, and you've read the literature and research, and so you have an expertise as well. But motivational interviewing doesn't take that expertise to the point where you become sort of the master commander of the conversation. But you're equal partners, two partners sitting down together having a conversation. If we look at sort of compassion, it's front and center. And here compassion is more than just I feel compassion for you, but it's compassion in action, to actively promote another person's welfare, to give priority to the needs of another person. And in some of their experiences is when clinicians kind of step a little bit outside the box and do compassionate things for their clients, that helps clients move along this trajectory towards making change. Evocation. Now, this word is probably less familiar to you. It comes from the word evoking, to evoke or bring forth from the person, to elicit from the person what is already there. So, this is very similar to the idea in solution-focused therapy, where you're looking at kind of the strengths of the individual and bringing them forward. So people already have within them much of what is needed, and your task is to evoke it, to call it forth. And so we're going to be engaging our conversation in a way that evokes from the client their reasons for change. And sort of in that, just to go back, we see a nice kind of fit here with solution-focused therapy. The other is the concept of acceptance, and they break acceptance down into absolute worth, autonomy, accurate empathy, and affirmation. So absolute worth. So this is very sort of Rogerian. You can see the Rogerian influence in motivational interviewing, prizing the inherent worth and potential of every human being, unconditional positive regard. So that Rogerian concept. Accurate empathy, an active interest and effort to understand the other person's internal perspective, to see the world through her or his eyes. So we want to get inside the person and understand their experience of that, of their situation. Autonomy, so honoring and respecting each person's autonomy, their irrevocable right and capacity of self-direction. So the client is ultimately in charge and ultimately in the driver's seat. In motivational interviewing, we never say to a person, you have to do this. You have to go see your probation officer. No, they don't have to go see their probation officer. There may be consequences if they don't, but they're in control. They have full autonomy. And so we're not in a position of making people do things, particularly against their will. What we're doing is we're honoring and respecting their autonomy. And then affirmation, to seek and acknowledge the person's strengths and efforts. So we want to really seriously kind of be building on that, affirming that, recognizing that, and bringing that into the clinical conversation. So there you have it. So that's the spirit of motivational interviewing. As I say, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it because I think you guys have, probably had a lot of exposure to this type of thing. But it's a nice package, and it's kind of becomes the lens that everything in MI is looked through.